Hi and welcome to Wrong Way, and today I will present you this, the Larry versus Harry Bullitt cargo bike with belt drive. So let me tell you more about it. Wrong Way. And first up, huge thanks to AleRower.pl for providing me this bike for testing purposes. I've had it for a couple of weeks just to test out, to borrow for free, and tell you everything that I think about this bike. AleRower didn't pay me to make this video, but I did get to, at least try the bike out for free, so this is just a disclaimer I need to tell you. AleRower does have a pretty sweet selection of bikes on their site that are available, including Larry vs. Harry, Velo de Vie, and other ones. So if you're in the market for a sort of city bike or a cargo bike, then feel free to check them out. Well, especially if you're in Poland. So even though we mostly review electric rideables on this channel, and especially electric unicycles, I am actually a big fan of cargo bikes in general. If any one of you watching is subscribed long enough to this channel, you might remember that I did a review of the Riese und Müller Load 60 back in the day, and I really liked that bike, and that was an electric cargo bike. And since then I always wanted to get one, but somehow I always spent money on wheels and other stuff. And I have to say that cargo bikes are really up my alley, because most of the time if I go around the city I do not want to use a car, and more people decide to do the same thing as me. You don't need to find a parking space, you pay essentially just for food and the bike, and those things, especially with the Gates Carbon Drive, are really pretty much maintenance free or very, very low maintenance. Thing is though, those things are still very expensive, and while prices are going down, paying around 2.2 thousand euro, around 10,000 zloty, Polish zloty, for a bike is still a lot of money, and I guess that's something that still keeps people away from just like jumping on those. But if you have some free funds and you're deciding between a usual bike and a cargo bike, well, maybe just watch until the end of this video. Because during the time of testing this Larry vs. Harry Bullitt, I've really come to like it a lot, and I will miss it a lot when I'll give it back to AleRower tomorrow. But let me just tell you what I did with it throughout those, well, a little bit more than 2 weeks. I carried passengers in the front loading area several times. For example, when my girlfriend was going back from somewhere and she was stopping at a metro station, then I would just grab this bike, go to the metro station, pick her up, and ride back home, which was always a lot of fun. We could talk on the way home, and it was just like a very freeing thing to do, to pick up someone with the bike instead of doing the same thing with a car, or just riding with two bikes. So carrying passengers happened a couple of times, and I also showed this bike to a bunch of my friends, and they actually really liked it, and they could ride it pretty much straight away, even though it's a pretty long wheelbase. But the other thing I did was actually very exciting. I put a full set of sort of PA speakers, or amateur pro speakers on this bike. I did have to remove the side rails for it, and I mounted the phone on a handlebar, and I had a sort of bike rave setup, a very basic bike rave setup on it, with 20 kilograms of speakers, some additional stuff on it. And throughout all of those sort of experiments, this bike was handling everything perfectly. And those tests were done with me, a 72 kilogram rider, and up to 60 kilograms of weight in the front rack area. And the steering was always very direct and very nice, actually even much nicer than the Riese und Müller I tried years ago. Now, in terms of your use case, dear viewer, what you can do with it is you can carry dogs in here, you can carry small children, you can also carry full-grown adults, but there is a small caveat with it. This load area is not that long, and if someone sits here and is resting their back against the pillow, or the special chair assembly, pillow assembly that you can get for this bike, which I don't have, that's why I use this Decathlon mattress and usually a pillow here in the back, you might hit your head against the handlebar. So if you want to actually carry people, it is much better to have like a three-wheeled bike or something longer, like the Bullitt X, or some sort of bigger cargo bike altogether. But if you're in a pinch, this is awesome, but because this still feels like a bike and rides very easily, but you have the added benefit of actually being able to carry loads of stuff, including people or dogs, animals, in the front sort of rack or loading area. There's also several accessories you can get for this bike. You can even customize it if you want to get it new. So you can get it with a different rear hub, you can get it with a chain drive, you can have it without those side rails. It's actually very easy to get them off, just 2 screws on each side. This one has a heavy-duty load floor, so this is a nice add-on. And as said, you can get a children's passenger accessory. Feel free to check out their site if you want to see like more details on how you can customize it. Oh, and of course you can also change the color. My favorite is the pink one, but it's sadly sold out. So with the basic information out of the way, let's take a closer look at some of the features and details on this bike. We'll be going from front to back. And I won't be looking at it as a, bicycle enthusiast. I mean, I had a couple bikes, and I've had also a belt drive bike back in the day. I tried some gravel bikes, cargo bikes, road bikes. So I have a fair bit of experience, but I'm not like a super duper bike nerd. So yeah, let's go from front to back. On the front, we have a 20-inch tire, which is, well, a lot smaller than what you usually get on your bikes. It provides a little less stability, but it also shifts the center of mass much lower. So this is really good. And I didn't find any issues of, just riding this bike around. The only thing that you need to get used to is when you look from the front of the bike, well, you turn and you see nothing under the handlebar. You have to sort of look in front of you, and then you see where the tire is going. But you can still see it from the seated position. Now, the thing also to get used to is when you turn the handlebar to the max, this is your turning radius, and this turning radius is still pretty big because of the wheelbase. So this thing sort of rides a little bit like a small bus. I got used to it. It's not like crazy difficult to ride this thing around. Just a thing to keep in mind. If it were able to just turn a bit sharper, it would be awesome, but this is also a limitation of the linkage here, which goes underneath the bike and lets you steer the bike. I do like the geometry a lot, and as said, I was giving the bike to a bunch of friends and they could ride it in a pinch. Just needs like a minute to get used to, and then you're good to go. And then maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to totally like be able to go into a very steep turns and really navigate well in an urban environment. It is still pretty narrow, and it still feels like a bike, and I didn't find sort of any speed difference when going around the city. The only thing that you will notice is once you have some load in here, and we'll get onto that a bit later when we'll talk about the rear hub, it will be more difficult to climb, but this is very usual. It's a heavier bike, and with more load you have even more weight, so nothing surprising here. You could also get this bike with a front dynamo light. I would advise you to get it because just much more simple than charging up front lights. This is the light that I got here with the bike, and it shines straight into people, so didn't like using that a lot. Usually I would just put a handlebar light here. Moving on, the front load area is really awesome, and what is additionally really awesome is the kickstand. And there's like 2 of those legs. Like a person could easily just sit in here and get comfortable, put the back in the front and the back, and get comfortable on the bike while the bike is on a kickstand. Always very sturdily standing and not falling to the front or to the sides on its own. So that was really awesome. And as you can see, this mattress fits very neatly here and is very nice actually to use with this bike. The side rails are also very comfortable, very sturdy, and just need 2 screws to be fastened. Really comfy. Now here in the back I have the backpack, and this is a skateboard backpack. I just use the mounting points here. I can just put it here without any additional headache. In this area you have some mounting screws for the additional accessories. You can also get it with like a tarp which goes over the front area if you want to keep your groceries dry, etc. Now moving on, here we have the handlebar, which is height adjustable. So if you have someone taller in your family, you can just lift it up like I do, or you can put it down if you want to have a more sporty riding position. Just really nice to have a simple sort of solution for the height of the handlebar. The handlebars themselves are very nice. The grips are okay too. And the brakes are excellent. We get hydraulic brakes front and back. Very big discs. I believe those are either 180 or 200 millimeters. TRP, so I guess this is Tektro. Really good stopping power both in the front and in the back. Now here on the right side we have the Alfine 8 Shimano shifter. You can get this bike with a Alfine 8 or a Alfine 11 speed rear hub, but not a gearbox, like planetary drive. And the 8 speed was working well for me. Just on very steep inclines I would like to have a lighter gear. This is what you can get with the 11 speed, but the 11 speed is a bit more finicky to adjust. So just take whatever is your preference. I was mostly fine, but on longer inclines, yeah, the gears could have been a bit lighter. Now, as we are here already, we have the Gates carbon drive, and honestly, this was a total game changer for me in terms of cycling. You don't need to lubricate it. You don't need to do anything with this belt drive. They can easily last up to 15,000, 20,000 kilometers. They're not dirty, and honestly, once I tried those out, I can't go back. I bought myself a gravel bike recently, and I don't ride it at all because I bought it with a chain drive, so yeah, I'll probably just sell it. I just can't live without belt drive nowadays. Super comfortable, especially for a city riding setup. And as I said here, you have the planetary hub gearbox, not gearbox, hub drive with your separate gears. So yeah, really convenient. A big benefit of the hub drive system is that you can shift all stationary and get going right away. Hup, boom. Very helpful, especially with heavy loads. Easy. This bike has a fairly short reach. I do like that a lot. I do not like bikes where I need to sort of bend over to the front. And I have the seat set up a bit lower just to have it a bit more comfortable in city use. And the position on it was always very comfortable for me. I'm a 1.80 m tall, 1.80 centimeters. For taller folk, I guess it'll be fine. For less tall, I know, you just check the specifications on AleRower's site if you want to find out more about the sort of sizing guide. The pedals are not stock, so I can't really comment on them. I did like them a lot, but they're not stock. And in the back we have a 26-inch wheel, which does help a little bit with the gearing of the Alfine hub, but still I would have liked to have slightly lighter gearing, especially for those uphills. And in that hub you also need to change the grease inside every like a year or I don't know, 5,000-10,000 kilometers. With the 11 speed you need to change the oil, so it's a bit different with those two. We also have a very excellent mudguard here in the back. It's plastic, but holds on well, no rattles, no downsides. And well, the same here is in the front with the mudguard. Could be a bit longer though. Sometimes it's like spraying a bit onto the bike. Now, one thing I do not like about this bike is the saddle. It's a very thin saddle with no pressure relief here for your genital area. So if you ride for a longer time, this is definitely the biggest downside, and the first thing I would change on this bike to get a actual saddle with a pressure relief for your genital area. Just yeah, not really a bike saddle that I like on this bike. You also do get a bottle cage mount here. No more actually mounts here. Maybe there's some accessories that you can get online for this bike, but that's essentially it when it comes to like the main features on this bike. So what would be my conclusion on this bike? Well, first of all, I really love the belt drive, and honestly for city bikes or cargo bikes, I wouldn't really go with anything else at this point because they're just so low maintenance and they're not dirty, and they're really a optimum choice for, you know, transporting people around in all weather and not having to worry about, you know, cleaning your chain, changing your chain, lubricating your chain, etc., etc. This bike also comes with a electric option. It's hideously expensive. I think it's like 2 or 3 times more expensive than this one. So wowie zowie. I probably wouldn't be ready to pay so much for a cargo bike, even though it is very good. But yeah, they do also offer a electric option. Probably my favorite thing for a cargo bike like that would be either to just keep it like this, or have a pinion drive or some sort of gearbox here in the front combined with a belt drive to the back, just to keep it maintenance free. And if you want the additional electric power, you could have a pinion electric drive in it as well. I don't think this one is available with it, but you know, belt drive is just something I really love. I really loved how sturdy this bike is and how it doesn't really feel like a big hefty cargo bike. It's not that wide, so it fits like everywhere very easily when you ride around town. And when you keep it locked somewhere outdoors, it does take up a little bit more space, like longitudinally. So it does require a bit more space, but you can always fit it in a usual bike rack. I was just keeping it outside my home and in between other bikes, and another bike could still like park next to me, which is, you know, awesome, because while having so much room to carry stuff, you can still park it pretty much anywhere and ride it very easily. I would really love to have such a bike. I guess I just don't have like spare funds for so much stuff at this point, but would I go for this particular one? I don't know. Maybe I would really need to try out the Bullitt X, which is the longer version, just to have even more stuff with me, or try out a electric version of it too, just to see how much benefit you have when going up the hills. Other than that, really love the geometry, love the handlebars, would change the seat, love the mud guards, the steering was really nice, the geometry feels great too, and the turning radius could be a bit tighter, but you know, there's so much as you can do with such a long wheelbase. So in total, I really liked it. So if you're still here, leave a like on the video, subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.